Good evening. Good evening, I'm Mayor Brenda Hess, and I'd like to call this meeting to order. It's our regularly scheduled City Commission meeting. It's Monday, March 27th, 2017. If everybody could please rise and let's say the Pledge of Allegiance together. I'd like to remind everybody that this is our regular business meeting, and if you could keep your sidebar conversations down to a minimum, it would really help us. Up next, we're going to hear from Pastor Dave Mitchell, and he will be leading us in the invocation this evening. Welcome, Dave.
Welcome. Almighty God, we are so eternally grateful that you gave the best gift to us, that we may find life. And Father, as you direct this community, Father, we thank you, you have everyone in mind to give them the best. Father, direct us to do your will and achieve it well. Cause us to hear and understand one another like we have not done before, that you may map out a course that brings glory to your name. And we'll give you that praise. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor Mitchell. I'm sorry, I'm not sure if my microphone's working. I hope you can hear me. If you can't hear me in the back, just raise your hand at some point. Up next, we're to roll call. Gladys, our city clerk, will be leading us in the roll call.
Cole?
Yes.
Hess?
Here.
Moore?
Here.
Tarney?
Yes.
Bianski?
Yes.
You have a quorum, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. We are to the segment of public comments, item number 4 on our agenda. This is a reminder that citizens are allowed up to 3 minutes to discuss any agenda item. One at a time, please state your name and your address for the record so Gladys can get that into our record. Any agenda item? Anyone? Okay. You have to step up to the microphone. You need to say your name and your address, please.
I'm Beverly Veit Wilcox, and I live all my life in Bertrand Township. My husband Richard and I and my 3 children all graduated from Buchanan High School. We love Buchanan. It's a good old Bucktown, good schools too. And I hope and pray that our little town doesn't become known as a marijuana town. It will turn people off if they are looking to move to a small, quiet town. If people need medical marijuana for pain or whatever it's used for, they can get a prescription from their doctor and go to their pharmacy. We do not need a marijuana dispensary in our town. Please vote no. Please.
Okay, thank you, Beverly. Thank you.
I was going to say quiet, but I can't. I'm Dr. Andrea Vanderlaan, 401 West Chicago. I'm here as the school superintendent. I want to share a couple of stories with you just in the last couple of weeks, because when this topic first came up, I said the students will watch what we do and not listen to what we say, and there's already confusion, and I know that because I've heard it in the school system. I was going down the hallway the other day, and Kelly Lesh, who is a county sheriff, was talking to our health class, and they were discussing drugs. They were discussing prescription drugs, what you can bring to school, what you can't, what should be in a bottle. You can't have things in your pocket. They were talking about alcohol. They were talking about, the other kind of drugs that students might get in touch with. One of the students raised his hand and asked about medical marijuana. I was walking down the hall and I had to go in and watch. And they were under the impression that they could have medical marijuana cards, so she explained that that was not the case. The question then came up again as to, well, when can we smoke it? And so she asked them back, what do you mean? Well, we can do that at 18 or 21, and she had to go back and explain that is not okay. It's against the law. A couple days after that, our athletic director was in somewhat of an argument with one of our students, and later he pulled off a post to Facebook. And the comment on Facebook by this student was, the only place this is illegal is in the schools. So I ask you again, what message are we sending to our kids? And then I do want to thank this board, because I know you've really researched this a long time and that you've really looked at the pros and cons. And I know I've made the comment about small town, hometown, Bucktown, life is better here. I want you to go back and read the Chamber book. I meant to bring it in, I left it in the car. But if you look at the first two books of the Chamber where they describe why life is better here, they talk about McCoy Creek Trail, they talk about all the exercise equipment on the trail, they talk about downtown concerts, they talk about a family atmosphere, they talk about Thrill on the Hill, they talk about Paris Mill, historical town with small town values. I ask you to vote no and to continue with the vision of life is better here.
Thank you.
Eric Hagman, I live on Front Street, and I've been up to the mic a couple times before. I think I've said just about everything I could possibly say on the reasons that we don't need this in our town. I apologize if I lost my top last time, but this is very emotional to me because I love this town. I raised my family in this town. It's a great town. I want to keep it that way. I guess I'm up here more as a plea than anything else. I know you guys pretty much have the vote for this, but I would encourage you to turn around and look at the sign back there, and where it says life is better here, how is this going to make life better here in Buchanan? I can't figure out one benefit, but I can come up with all kinds of reasons, which I shared last couple of meetings, on how it's going to really jeopardize this community. So I'm up here to give a plea to vote against this so we don't have this in our town.
Thank you, Eric. Okay, anyone else? Okay, public comments are now closed. We're going to move on to item number 5 of our consent, or we're going to approve our consent calendar. I need a motion.
Motion that we approve the consent calendar.
I'll second that.
Roll call, please.
Your Honor, we would like to remove item C under reports by Buchanan Youth Softball Baseball Association.
Okay, thank you.
They could not be here this evening.
Okay.
Do we need another motion for the amendment?
So, yes, that amendment.
Okay.
Request an amendment.
So do you want me to make that motion that I'll amend the approval, taking out item C for the Buchanan Softball Association because that cannot be here this evening. Is that correct, Class?
Support. Yes. Okay.
Commissioner Viansky had a motion.
Yeah, he just made his amendment to that
Second
motion.
amendment, okay.
And I seconded
Okay,
the
thank you.
amendment. So we got to vote on the amendment.
Now, this is for the amendment. Moore?
Yes.
Tarney?
Yes.
Viansky?
Yes.
Cole? Yes. Hess?
Yes.
Unanimous, Your Honor.
Thank you.
And then with a motion to approve as amended. Hess?
Yes.
Moore?
Yes.
Tarney?
Yes.
Viansky?
Yes.
Cole? Yes. Unanimous, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. We are to item number 6 on our agenda. We will now be doing reports by departments, committees, and boards. And the first person up this evening is our city assessor. Her name is Carrie Puckett, and she's going to be giving us an update about the city assessor's department. Welcome, Carrie. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Carrie Puckett, the Deputy Assessor for the City of Buchanan. I am going to give you a brief overview of the Assessor's Office report, and a complete, with more specifics provided, version is in your packet today. We've conducted the December border review, corrected clerical errors and mutual mistakes of fact at that meeting. The board members approved 11 changes then also. We reviewed 46 2016 building permits with the assistance of the building inspector, Guy Lewis. We field visited new construction or demolition for value changes that also include any properties that did not have permits on them. We also reviewed any 2015 building permits that were not complete with construction for prior years or demolition. We corrected several property address changes and made several mailing address changes following the 2016 winter bills that were mailed out. We completed field visit on several properties in all classes. These field visits pertained to rechecking measurements, reviewing input, and verifying sale information if necessary. We then analyzed that sale information to determine our ECFs, which are our economic condition factors. We reviewed return mail also for possible PRE changes. Those are principal residence exemption changes. Those changes greatly affect the school state aid fund for local school funding. We canvassed the city for new personal property parcels and then reviewed that information with the assistance of the DDA Director, Deborah Patzer. This canvas identifies new businesses and places them on the assessment roll. It also identifies any businesses that may not have been on the assessment roll in prior years. We mailed statements to all new and existing businesses, and we removed personal property parcels that are no longer in business. We processed personal property statements submitted for real and tangible personal property not exempt by law. We also processed timely submitted affidavits to claim small business tax exemptions for commercial and industrial personal property parcels with a true cash value of less than $80,000. We processed timely submitted EMPPs, which are eligible manufacturing personal property tax exemptions for personal property parcels. EMPPs are exempt from ad valorem taxation and subject to ESA, which is the State Essential Services Assessment. Changes of assessment notices were mailed out in February. Those notices inform taxpayers of tentative assessed values, cap values, and taxable value changes. It also notified them of the March Border Review appeal dates and times. Taxable value is capped at the inflation rate of 0.9% unless there was new construction or a transfer of ownership in 2016. The 2017 assessment roll was completed and certified by the assessor, Tony Meyerd, and submitted to the Border Review. We conducted March Border Review, which we had 6 assessor changes submitted and 7 petitioner appeals. Many of their questions and concerns were answered prior to the March Border Review. The Border Review members did an excellent job listening to taxpayer concerns and researching facts to aid in making informed decisions on each appeal. Real ad valorem property values are up 4.78%. Personal ad valorem property values are down 6.64%, which is an overall increase of 3.75%. There is further breakdown in the report that was provided to you. The Berrien County Equalization Department is under contract with the city to perform the assessor duties. That contract expires on June 30th of 2017. The county is not available to renew that contract. The Equalization Department is currently working with City Manager Bill Marks to create a process to attract and review prospective assessors. I'm typically in the Buchanan office here on Tuesdays from 9 to 4:30, but I also spend several other days throughout the year in my St. Joe office to complete the workload that is necessary. The rest of the week, Tony Maillard and myself are available in our St. Joe office also to address any taxpayer concerns. I'd like to compliment the entire city staff for their leadership, professionalism, and expertise in each of their positions. They all play a very important part in aiding the assessor's office day-to-day duties. If you have any questions, I'll be available in the city office tomorrow. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Carrie. Okay, continuing on with reports by departments, committees, and boards, we're up to item B, Police Department, and we will now be hearing from Assistant Chief Tim Gaines. Welcome, Tim. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to stand up here and talk a little bit about our police department. Some of the things that we've done in the last few months is we're trying to educate the public on some things. And one of the big things that are out there is frauds and identity thefts. So some of our officers have put together some classes on what to look for, what to be aware of. And we've actually put those classes on a couple times throughout the year. We plan on putting some more on this year. It's just a great source of information, so kind of be watching for that. Follow us on our Facebook page. So when we do have these classes, you can show up. It's great information. You know, today we have people out there that use the computer and they try to fraud you, try to trick you in that you're going to win all these millions of dollars, and they want you to do this and want you to do that. But we want to educate our citizens to understand what to look for, what not to get involved in. Because once they get your ID and stuff like that, it's just, you know, the sky's the limit. So we want to make sure that we can educate people. One of the other things that we've done is back in February at our perk breakfast, we had some officers talk about how to respond to an active shooter. And we got a lot of good comments through our DDA, the business owners here in town. It was just a 15, 20-minute little presentation, but hopefully that helps some people. Like I said, we got some good comments back. So we'll be putting that out, that information out again. And one of the ways that we have done that is on our Facebook page. I don't know if you're familiar with Officer Smith, Bree. She's our young lady that kind of has taken the Facebook page on, and she's posting updates, these little articles, if you will. I'm not very suave when it comes to what they call on Facebook, but it's just basically some information of maybe some frauds that we're looking into, maybe some other events that's going on here in the city or around us that you should be aware of. So she's going to update this once a week. She's going to have some good information out there. So go on our Facebook page, like it, I guess, right? Click
Yes,
a like
right.
on there, right?
Good job.
And read these articles. They'll be on there. There'll be good information for everybody. Again, this year I think our big push is we want to educate. We want to work with our citizens here in Buchanan and help them with these situations. Some of the other things that we've got going on is Sergeant Harvey Barnett working with our DARE program in 5th grade. Anybody that's been through our Buchanan school in the last probably 15 years or so probably went through one of the Sarge's DARE classes. That graduation is coming up April 19th at 7 o'clock at, I believe, the middle school. So if you got time, stop in there. It's a great program. What DARE stands for is Drug Abuse, Resistance, and Education. And back in the mid to late 90s, the DARE program was big. It got a lot of money, got a lot of federal money. And through the last few years, that money's kind of dried up, but we're still doing this program. There's very few programs in the state of Michigan that are still involved with the DARE program in the schools. But we're fortunate to be able to still do that. Again, great cooperations with Buchanan School system with that. Another great event is, for those who don't know, we have a reserve unit. These men and women are volunteers. They come and they put on a uniform just like I do. They crawl into a car just like I do and go with me on these calls. And they do it for free. They come in to help protect our city. So every year we have a reserve program. The Barron County Sheriff's Department puts that on. This year we've got 2 reserves that are going through that. So we're excited to get them through that. They graduate in April 5th, and when they do, get it on the road. We'll probably bring them in and introduce them to the commission there, but we're looking forward to that. With when we bring those 2 on, we'll have 25 reserves for the city of Buchanan, which is big. That's a big, throughout Barron County, as all the other departments go, that's a big reserve unit. But we need it. We've got a lot of great things going on here. We've got the thrill on the hill in the winter, the thrill on the hill in the summer. We could not do that as a police department without the help from our reserve unit. They're great guys and gals, and they're here to just give back, and we appreciate that. Well, with that, there is one other thing that I'd like the commission to be aware of. Tonight I brought with me our part-timer that we just hired here, and his name is Devontae Hershkin. I've known Devontae since he's about 14 years old. He was part of the Explorer program with the Barron County Sheriff's Department. He's a great young man, and I was so honored when he came to me and says, hey, how would you like to me come work for you? And I was excited, probably more excited than he was, but I won't say that out loud. But no, he's a great guy, so I'm going to ask him to step up and tell a little bit of his story so you guys can put a face with a name. So, Devontae?
Good evening. My name is Devontae Hershkin. First, I want to say I really enjoy working with the great citizens of the city of Buchanan. It's a really beautiful place, and I'm really enjoying it. I began my career as a law enforcement explorer when I was 14 years old with the Barron County Sheriff's Department. I spent 6 years with the Law Enforcement Explorer program. I later became a reserve police officer with the village of Eau Claire. And shortly after that, I attended the police academy in Battle Creek and became a certified police officer. So currently I am a full-time deputy sheriff with the Barron County Sheriff's Department, and I also work here part-time. And as I said earlier, I really enjoyed it, and I love being here. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Yep.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. We have a question from
Sure,
Commissioner
I'm sorry.
Moore.
Since we have so many great neighborhood leaders here in attendance, could you talk a little bit about the Neighborhood Watch Program and how someone would initiate that in their community?
Sure. Bob Hess, I don't know if Bob's here, I'm looking, but Bob Hess kind of coordinates it for the city, actually for the whole county. But you don't really have to go through Bob. We'd like to stay organized, but the best thing would be to call Bob Hess or stop up and see me. What the Neighborhood Watch Program is just basically somebody kind of being the eyes and the ears in your neighborhood. That's all we're asking. And if you see something or hear something, that you contact the police department. A lot of people think, well, this is no big thing. It's something small. They're too busy. No, that's not the case. If it's not right in your neighborhood because you know it better than anybody else, then you should call us and let us look into it, and we'll determine if it's big or not, because we want to make sure that everything is on the up and up here in your neighborhood. So it's very easy to get a Neighborhood Watch program. You just kind of need somebody in your neighborhood to kind of be like the captain, kind of be in charge, and then you kind of get the other neighbors to come alongside you and just basically be the ears and the eyes of your neighborhood and work with us. So again, my name is Tim Gaines. I'm the Assistant Chief. If there's anyone that's interested in a Neighborhood Watch program, please call me at the police department. I'd be happy to sit down with you. Again, like Bob Hess, he's got a great organization going here in the city, but we want to expand it and be able to help you in your neighborhood with whatever you've got going on, okay? Any other questions?
Anything else from the commission? No? Okay, thank you, Tim, very much.
Thank
Thanks for
you.
coming.
There are some empty chairs if some of the people that are standing want to sit
Oh, yeah.
down.
Folks standing in the back, we do have some empty chairs. If you're sitting next to an empty chair, could you please raise your hand? I don't feel like they should have to stand the rest of the evening. And if they don't want to sit, that's fine too. Okay, great. All right. We didn't want anybody to be left out. Okay, we're going to move on to item number, 7, and we're going to discuss unfinished business. And we're to item A. We're going to consider notice to proceed contract documents number 22-11-0301/02/17 with Dixon Engineering and let bid for Buchanan Water Tower painting project.
Mayor and Commissioners, this is somewhat of the formal process we have to go through in this the bid process to actually paint our water towers. It's been nearly 18 years since we've applied a coat of paint to the towers. It's time. Inspections showed last year that we had some deterioration of the coating on the towers, which actually has survived very well. Even the inspection said they're in very good condition, but it's time to resurface those tanks. Yeah, we have 2 tanks in town. One's a 500,000 gallon tank, which is up on Front Street behind Tailgaters, Hilltop, Matea Court, up in that area, and the other one's off of Moccasin Street, and that's a 250,000 gallon water tower. Now, we went out for bids, as you're aware, the process. We put out our RFPs. We seek any and all bidders. And again, in these times, contractors are few and far between, and I was worried that their responses or quotes would exceed what we had budgeted for. But I was quite pleased, even though in these times of few contractors, we received some very competitive bids, actually less than what we had budgeted for. So, that was really a plus. And you approved that bid, that final bid, and that was with Dixon Engineering. And also, that was the same company that we worked with 18 years ago to paint our towers, and they did a very good job, and that's displayed by the longevity of the coating that's lasted this long. The contract was for $173,000 to do both tanks. It's an exceptional bid. We actually budgeted nearly $200,000 for the project, so we've come in drastically under. One of the unique things about the resurfacing is the new logo that'll be up on the towers. We're taking advantage of our large billboard, a community billboard that's up there, and it'll have a similar logo as what you see behind the commission. It says Buchanan, but underneath it'll say Promise Community. So we want to capitalize on the fact that we are basically blessed with a Promise program here, thanks to Wally Shermer, a great benefactor to the community. And if you're not familiar with a Promise program here locally, Buchanan Schools, if you graduate from Buchanan School System, you're eligible for up to $2,500 a year to pursue a 4-year college degree or a trade school in the community. So this is significant. It does set us apart from other communities, and I call it, we were pretty generic with all the other communities in the fact that we all can say it's a great place to live, life is better here, but the Promise now sets us just that little bit above. So it is significant, it's very beneficial, and I'm happy that it's just not for the kids pursuing 4 years, it's the kids seeking skilled trades and certificate programs to use that money. So it's amazing. So getting back to what we're doing here, sorry, I went off on a little bit of a tangent, but
That's all right.
the process here is basically a notice to proceed. It's a formal approval by you, the board, to move this process along. They will begin work on the tank as early as April 10th. That'll be on the Front Street tower, so everybody driving through the north uptown will see a lot of activity around our tower up there. That work should conclude somewhere around May 26th, and then after that, there'll be a little bit of a break before the Moccasin Street Tower is addressed, and that'll start around September 5th and run through October 20th. So in each of these processes, the towers will be down out of service for 21 days. With the dual tower system and our water system capabilities, we'll be able to offset with the tower that is up and running. So what I'm looking for now is approval by the commission to move the project forward.
Okay, and I would like to add, I visited with the folks from Dixon Engineering at a conference, and for me, being the mayor, when you hear as a citizen that we have to spend $173,000 to protect, hundreds of thousands of gallons of water, I always think, wow, that's a lot of money for maintenance and upkeep. Well, I happened to notice this picture of a water tank in a Michigan community, they didn't say which one, which had not been maintained. And this tank was completely full of water, and it collapsed, causing a major tsunami in a small neighborhood, taking out all of the landscaping and flooding basements, and it was a travesty that could have been avoided. And if you want to take a look at this picture when you're done, I think, maintenance of the things that we already have, budgets are tight. No one really wants to write a check for this sort of thing, but it's very imperative that we spend our money on the things that we have in town and keep them up to date and keep people safe, because I can only imagine the chaos and the danger had this been near a playground or something, children outside, family pets. This is this kind of important thing that we need. So thank you for, supporting us as we try to maintain the things that we have and keep people safe in town. I had no idea this could happen to a water tower. So any comments from the commissioners? Dale?
Well, I've seen both of our towers from prior inspections with Bill, so I was appreciated very much that he took me on that and explained in detail what's needed and how we're doing. So I understand fully what those pictures are about.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, I need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Okay.
Make the motion to contract with Dixon Engineering, number 221103010217, to paint both water towers.
Okay, can I get a second?
I'll second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Moore,
Yes.
Hess,
Yes.
Cole? Yes. Bianski?
Yes.
Carney?
Yes.
Unanimous, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. And work should be starting on that almost directly. Now we're going to move on to unfinished business, item B. We're going to consider resolution 2017.03 to develop a Buchanan City ordinance and zoning ordinance on Michigan's Medical Marijuana Facilities Act.
Mayor, Commissioners, again, this has been a long discussed item of concern within the community. We've had 4.5 hours of solid discussion, that being an hour and a half worth of education by our assistant city attorney, and then 3 hours of public forum conversations regarding the issue, which was pretty well split down the middle from my observations. We also added to that the opportunity of an additional 28 days of dialogue with you and citizens out on the street, and some commentary that we received back. We have a place on the agenda for this to be discussed again. You have multiple options. One, you can choose not to do anything. Two, you can have the discussion, and if you feel, based on the information you've heard, it desirable to opt in, I've provided you with a resolution to review and approve. So again, this is only, if you opt in, it's only moves the process forward. There's still a lot of work. There'll be a lot of public input on the Planning Commission's role in the designing of the ordinance, limitations, locations, that all comes under planning, the planning ordinance. So it's open for your discussion.
Okay, open to discussion from the board?
Well, there's a lot of questions unanswered. I've listened patiently to everybody that has come in. I've listened to people on the street, grocery store, restaurant, anywhere I've gone. Even our attorney has not been able to answer some of our questions. I made a decision how I wanted to vote, but we do have that option to hold off for a while yet. I think because there's so many unanswered questions and liabilities for the city, and I would like to see us to hold off to see what the state's going to do. And I know we can add on to the state their rules and regulations, and we can be even more stricter than the state. I think there's a lot of opinions out there, including the people who are so coward that they did not sign their letters of threatening the mayor, the commissioners, phone call trying to disguise their voice on the phone. I mean, it's, you know, life is better here, and I get this from Buchanan's people. That's not the kind of attitude I thought we had here. How can you voice your opinion and not sign your name to the letter or leave your name on the phone? I'd like us to be at the base of all this so that we can stay in contact with the state and see what they're going to do, how they're going to handle it, and, you know, where's our liabilities? I'd really like to see us not say yes or no today. I'm really concerned about the unanswered questions.
Okay. Anyone else who would like to? Okay. Yeah, Pat?
Well, and I, like Carla, I've been listening to everyone, and I'm very concerned about some items that maybe some of the other people aren't aware of. We've heard a lot of the people being concerned that their neighborhoods are going to change or something of that sort. On one hand, you have a very strict law, and that was really the point of putting these restrictions in place, is so that the intent is to be able to track a marijuana seed all the way to a plant, all the way to a product, to the end user, or return it. So it isn't like opening the gates to a free flowing access. Are there problems with the system? I think so. And my concerns are that my major concern is that according to the law, any provisionary center will have to be dealing with cash only. I think that's a very dangerous situation. You're taking people who are ill, injured, hurting, disabled, whatever their purpose is, that they have gotten a legal capability to have a marijuana card and they're entitled to this medication. And really, that is what it is medication. But because the state is demanding that they take cash to these businesses, I believe that is making those people very susceptible to an attack of some sort. That's going to make a demand on our police to make sure that those kind of things don't happen. So there's, right there, we are going to have any revenues, any so-called revenues that we might get, who knows, we will probably have to use it to protect our people. And I mean, those patients are our people. They are part of our community, and it's been very heart-rending to see how many people really are asking for this to be in a close-by community. I do believe Niles is hoping to move ahead, and I hope that is something that will be accessible to a lot of the people that were really in need. And the medical community is becoming more and more accepting of medical marijuana. There are more uses. There's more research. So things are changing. But I worry about people being attacked, and then when they leave these provisionary centers, they're going to have a scheduled substance with them. So you have two opportunities, going in and going out. And yeah, the provisionary centers could be very like Fort Knox and very safe, but you got to get that person from the car into that business. So I'm worried about that. And the other thing that I'm concerned with, part of the outline of this state law is to outline the percentage of the tax money that is generated by these patients, and they're trying to get this medication, what they desperately need, and the state has outlined how much goes back to them. And they have an agreement that they will bring a portion of that back to the municipality that these licenses reside in. Well, 20 years ago, we had a similar kind of arrangement with revenue sharing. We were supposed to get a portion, and it was supposed to be a certain amount. 20 years later, over that 20 years, we have lost, in Buchanan, the statistic that City Manager Bill Marks gave me was $2.2 million that the state owes the city of Buchanan. Over 20 years, that's money we should have gotten to mow our yards and take care of our parks and take care of our people that we don't have. Over 20 years, we've had belt tightening to make up for that. Now, in 20 years, there's going to be another commission here. I won't be on that commission, but maybe with the revenues that we would potentially get from this, we would have to have extra law enforcement. So in 20 years, is there going to be a commission trying to find out where they can scrape the money up to keep that law enforcement person hired? Because the state has not been a good partner like they haven't been with the revenue sharing. Even in times like right now where they have a surplus, they're talking about rolling back income tax instead of fulfilling their obligations to the cities. So are they going to be a worthy partner for us 20 years from now? I don't think so. I hate to say it, that I am failing in trusting our state government. But they set this situation up very similarly to revenue sharing, and I just do not feel like we should be doing this so that in the future some other commission's going to be stuck with the problem that we are stuck with every year, trying to make ends meet without trying to raise and increasing the tax burden on the people of this town. I think people deserve their medication, and I pray that, you know, there's a local place, but I just do not feel like our town is the place for it.
Okay. Anyone else want to add to anything?
No.
I did, oh,
Your Honor, we did receive a written letter from Larry Osborne. He doesn't have an address, but he's got Buchanan resident. And it's addressed to the commissioners. It says, if you allow a marijuana dispensary in Buchanan, are you, the city, going to be responsible for any theft of our property because they will need money for it? I hope you reject it. Signed, Larry Osborne, Buchanan resident.
okay. I'm not sure where that person got their information from, but thank you. I've been spending the last 3 months learning all I can about the issue of medical marijuana. I had no knowledge of medical marijuana whatsoever. I do have a friend of mine from high school who I knew used medical marijuana for her child. He's about 25 years old. She's about my stature. He's giant. He's a big guy. He has autism. He's pretty much nonverbal. And to top it off, once he hit puberty, he started having these horrific seizures, horrific lying on the floor with his giant frame, writhing about. And she tried every avenue through pharmacies and doctors and people in the know. And the traditional pharmacies that she went to, the side effects of those medications turned him into a catatonic, someone sit in a corner drooling sort of young man. And as you can imagine, that would be very heartbreaking for a family to witness. Someone who was already, disabled to the point where they couldn't communicate. Basically, that was my own understanding of medical marijuana, and she would only mention it, kind of in passing. I knew she had a son, and, one day at a reunion, she happened to mention some help she was getting. I've spent 3 months trying to learn all I can because I love this community, and I love everyone in this community. And it doesn't mean middle-class people just like me and people that share my same values and political beliefs and people that look like me and drive a car like me or, work at the school like me. I care for all people. And that has put me into a really big spot in this situation because I know that whatever I decide as a person, based on what I've learned in 3 months of research, that it's not going to make everyone happy. And I know that as a mayor, telling you even that we have to pay, multi-thousands of dollars to paint our water towers, I know that's not always popular with people. But I've listened to people, and some of you were not very nice to the people that came and just wanted to ask for this medication. And I have to admit, I was sorely disappointed because I do believe that we do have the best community around here. I worked in Niles for many years, and I finally decided that I didn't want to work there anymore. I wanted to work here because I love people. And now that my children are grown, I want to give back to this community. And I realize that sometimes the things you learn when you're growing up and when you run in certain social circles, you believe what everybody around you believes without ever questioning it. And I feel like through this process of education, I have this giant binder of information here about medical marijuana. I spent a lot of time away from my family learning about this, and I'm not basing my decision on, pressure I felt, because some of the people that contacted me privately told me that they were too afraid to speak at meetings because of some of the bad behavior. I mean, one night I had to gavel someone, which, I don't like to do that, and then they had to be escorted out of this meeting. They weren't even one of us. It was a woman from the township. We can't be treating people like that and be intimidating them when they want to give their opinion too. So I'm ready to make my decision, but I guess I need a motion one way or the other. Are we going to put it off? I believe that the emails that I've received have fallen off significantly. I feel like we had a big meeting to discuss the whole law from our lawyer. We had 2 very long public comment meetings. We let people comment at 2 other regular commission meetings, and we let people comment tonight. I feel as if this process has been open. I know when I went to the Michigan Municipal League Conference, some of the municipalities just made their decisions without input from the public, and shame on them. That's not the way to do things. We're trying to be open and upfront and do this the right way. So I guess I need a motion if we're gonna.
Your Honor?
Oh, yes,
Can I make
go right
this?
ahead.
I too have spent quite a number of hours and days on this. That's my homework. I've also been to several cities, and Niles included. So I have done a lot of research and thinking about this. So I too am ready to make my decision, Your Honor.
Commissioner Viganski?
I'll make the motion to develop a Buchanan City Ordinance and zoning ordinance on Michigan's Medical Marijuana Facilities Act.
I will second it.
Okay, roll call, please.
Bianski,
Yes.
Cole,
Yes.
Hess,
Yes.
Moore,
No.
Carney.
Yes.
Passed by majority, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and with that, we're moving on to item number 8. We're going to do new business. Item A is to consider opinion on the application of RID number 899214, new SMD license issued under MCL 436.15337 with Sunday sales permit and gas pumps issued under MCL 436.5465 inside for 267 East Front Street for Niles RPM 454 Incorporated. Bill, can you give a little update on that?
Mayor, Commissioners.
Okay, and we need people to stop talking. If you need to have a sidebar conversation, if you could please step outside or into the lobby, we'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Mayor and Commissioner, the address here is the Phillips 66 station right at Red Bud and Front Street. The owner, the business operator has petitioned the Michigan Liquor Control Commission to allow him to have Sunday sales. It's a opportunity that came available a couple of years ago where the law was expanded. We have had a number of these requests and reviews pass in front of you. You've provided approval and positive comments back to the Liquor Control Commission regarding Sunday sales. This business has had no violations in the past, and they have shown to be responsible in their business practices. So I'm making the recommendation that you provide a positive comment back to the Liquor Control Commission. Again, the Liquor Control Commission is in the process of investigating the application. Our positive comment back to them is just one segment of their review.
Does anyone have any questions about that?
Do we need to give them a written, something in writing?
We'll produce a letter back to the
The
Liquor
Liquor Control
Commission that
Commission?
you've provided positive comments through this resolution.
So do you need a motion then, or
Yes.
Okay.
I'll make the motion?
Yeah, the business is done well. They're a good business in the city.
Do we need to quote both them license numbers then, or are we okay? I'll make the motion that we allow, I don't even know how to word this. You got any ideas, Pat? On
You're
consider,
just expressing approval of the application to the license as requested.
All right.
what she said, under MSL 436-15337 and MCL 436-15465.
Correct. I'll second that.
Roll call, please.
Call?
Yes.
Bianski?
Yes.
Hess?
Yes.
Moore?
Yes.
Torney?
Yes.
Unanimous, Your Honor.
Thank you. And with that, we're up to public comments. This is citizens are allowed up to 3 minutes to discuss any non-agenda item. That's any agenda item that is not on our agenda this evening. Okay, moving on to item number 10, city manager comments for this evening.
Mayor, Commissioners, unfortunately, I was out of town last week at a conference, and I wasn't able to partake in the chili walk, but I think I provided you with some of the success numbers off of the chili walk. They had 160 more people partake this year than they did last year, even though the number of contestants were down to 31 from 42 the previous year. The effort was able to raise some significant dollars for the band boosters at the high school. They're planning to go to Disney next year. So again, I compel the attendance here and the people at home watching to, if you get an opportunity, help the band get to Disney. We would appreciate it. Again, this little event, besides being creating a festive atmosphere downtown, raised nearly $800 for the band boosters, which is pretty good. And I was told that if you sampled each of the chilies at 2 ounces apiece, you consume nearly 2 pounds or so of chili. And there was a variety of different levels of spice in those. And again, if you got a chance to see some of the press on the event, it was all very positive. It was very broad, and if you look at the positive public presentation of the city during these kind of events, it's very valuable to us. So, very good. I want to thank Dante Erskine for considering Buchanan Police Department as coming down here and working with us. Again, I'll explain law enforcement's in a little bit of a awkward spot in that a few years ago we had a variety of applicants apply for positions, and presently it's very difficult to gain a lot of attention when an opening occurs. So we're very pleased to have Dante consider us. He's very talented, and I would like to welcome him to our police department and our community. Again, it's vitally important. I know Tim has said it. Vitally important that our residents, if you see anything, please give us a call. Even if it's small and appears to be minor, that's what we're here for. We'll come out, check it out, and if it's nothing, it's nothing. But if it is a little piece of a puzzle that fits into something we already know, it's very vital that you give us a call. And I appreciate that. So that's all I have on it, Your Honor.
Thank you. On to commissioners' comments. Let's see. Let's start down here with Dale.
Your Honor, I have nothing to say tonight.
Okay. Carla?
Yeah,
Okay, first off, I want to say Happy Easter to everyone, in case I'm not around here to say that at the point of being Easter. I also want to say congratulations to our new officer. I think he is really great. My dogs love him, so I know he's okay. So we do welcome you, young man, for coming here, and you're always very polite, knocking on my door, and putting up with my dogs coming out to greet you. So welcome to our great city here. I just want to say, just hit on the marijuana just a little bit here. I'm old as dirt, guys. I'm at the age where I'm thinking, what happens if I get sick? What if they don't have medications to help me get through whatever? I've watched family members suffer, hurt, holding their hand while they're in bed and they're dying, and there's not a damn thing I can do for them. So that's why I voted yes. And the vets that come here, who come back from war to help us, they need help. How can I say no? I agree, I don't want it in your neighborhood. I don't want it by your churches. But I think it's something that we have to come to grips with, just like we have with the liquor and the beer. We have to move ahead and join in, and I want to be on the bottom, the base of this program. We can always opt out later if we don't want to do it. But we have to think about the future and our people that live here, and can they get help by having this medical marijuana. I've been through this too many times where regular medication just did not work. So I made my decision this weekend. I've been torn about this. I've read over and over all the information that we've been given. And it's such a strict business, and we can even be stricter, like I said earlier, and add on to what the state has got going for us. So I hope we don't see any nasty letters, any threats, any phone calls. That's not Buchanan, not at all. I'm very disappointed. And I hope the people that I have names in the back of my mind that might have done it, I pray that it wasn't them, because I like them. But how can you come from a city like this and send out threatening letters? That's not Buchanan. It's not us. That's all I got.
Thank you, Carla. Dan?
Well, I never felt threatened, because all you was threatening was to take the chair away from me, and any one of yous can have it. I'd like to see half of yous at least at the planning commission meetings, because that's where we're gonna need the input. And this can be a real positive thing. I'd like to see half of yous or all of yous at these commission meetings, and not just because you're mad about something. I mean, because we do need your input. We do need to reach out to you. I complain all the time about 10% turnout to the voting booths. That's a joke. That's an insult. That should make each and every one of you hurt, that we don't even bother to spend 5 minutes to go to the voting booth. You come down here, you raise holy Cain with 5 people that volunteered for this. Volunteered. And we got elected because our name was the only name on the ballot. That's why we got elected. So from here on out, because this could be, it ain't the pot at the gold, you know, it's not the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. It's nothing like that. I have no visions of that. But on the other hand, you know, we've all taken a lot of abuse, and I'm not one to take the kind of abuse that we've had to take while we've been sitting up here trying to educate you people. I'd made up my mind the night he walked in here, but I had no intentions of letting Mr. Wallace have a dispensary. And I had said it numerous times, but nobody wanted to listen to what I was saying. The newspaper called me today, and they still think that we're passing for a dispensary. And that's not what we did. So, I mean, the media's not even reporting it right. So, I mean, we're moving on. That's all we're doing. We have adopted the state law. The legality has already been going on for 9 years. You've had legal marijuana for 9 years. You have people growing marijuana in the houses in your neighborhoods right now. This is going to restrict this. This is going to make this drug more stable. It's going to collect some revenue. They're not going to be robbing you. They're not going to be stealing from you. I have checked with Colorado. I got in touch with the Chamber of Commerce, Washington, D.C. of marijuana growers. I hope they contact me soon. I am not on the Planning Commission. Dale is, but I plan on attending them because there's several things that are coming at me because I do have some input. And if I can't attend the meetings, I'm going to give Dale a list because I have had a liquor license and I know what the abuse is on that end. And this is worse than liquor. Believe me, this is more stringent than liquor. This is a good thing the way that he has structured this. And I am personally contacting the state of Washington, the state of Colorado, as much as I can to see where they fell apart so that we don't make the mistakes they did. That's all I got to say.
Okay. Commissioner Moore?
Well, I know many of you are disappointed, but don't lose heart because we are a very strong community. So no matter where you fall on this issue, whether you're someone who's ill that needs help, needs medication, if you're someone who is fearful that your way of life is going to change, we will do everything we can to make sure that's not going to happen. This is the beginning of a process. We believe in democracy here. We all recited the Pledge of Allegiance, and this is, how it works. Now, this argument, I came out on the losing end this time, but there's going to be lots of votes, and we're going to need your involvement, as Dan was saying, all through this process. So don't be very disheartened. This is something we will work through as a community. I know most of us did not make up our mind the first 5 minutes when someone said something. We did listen to you. So don't feel like you were ignored or not attended to, because really it was very heartrending what everyone has said, and everyone spoke from the heart, and that's where we're asking you to respect each other's positions. Everyone here needs respect, and you deserve respect. And we will give you respect, and hopefully you can find that within each other to come to some togetherness, because life is better here. We heard it from everyone, and it will continue to be better here. We will make sure that everyone is protected as much as we can. We will implement the Planning Commission will work hard to make sure that this is not something that hopefully is even noticeable by a lot of people. So if you, for instance, like if you don't drink, you don't pay attention maybe to the local bars unless something gets out of hand. They're just a business, and it doesn't impact your daily life. Well, this may be, hopefully if we do it right, this may be something like that, where there's a building and there's something going on there, but you don't need it, you don't deal with it, and it's not impacting you, and it won't change things. So that's what I'm looking for, is that our way of life is not going to change, our community is not going to change, but we need your input from here on out to make sure that happens. So thank you for everyone's comments, because we did listen. And we'll get through it together, and don't worry about it. Don't freak out. Don't do something crazy, because this is just the first step. So we've got plenty of time to mature and grow together through this situation.
Thank you. And I think I pretty much said everything. I just wanted to make everybody aware that the Plan Commission will take all sorts of input from everyone, and they will be in charge of deciding where the different kinds of marijuana businesses can go. They'll be able to decide on the signage as well as the hours of operation. And it's my understanding that if the Plan Commission so desires, they can put a sunset clause in. And if you don't know what a sunset clause is We're trying this for X amount of time, and if the citizens are not happy, if the commission's not happy, if the plan commission's not happy, we can change our mind eventually, and that will be all part of the things that we discuss. So please, again, like Pat has said, please don't lose heart. And we did listen to everyone, and this is not an easy decision to come by. I've spent a lot of time away from my family and a lot of time in thought, and certainly we have the well-being of all of the residents in mind. On another note, I would like to let everyone know that WNIT, our local PBS station, has a segment that they like to do, and it's called Our Town. And Buchanan is being featured as part of an Our Town segment. They are contacting local businesses right now for sponsorship, and with that, if you decide to donate to the Our Town segment, if you own a business or even you as an individual can donate some money, and they'll give you some publicity through this show. They're hiring right now. Well, they're not hiring. They're looking for citizen videography. If you're a person, I see some people over here with cameras. If you're a person that likes to make videos, they are going to have training sessions coming up. I forgot to bring the details, but if you are interested in becoming a videographer for this important project, they do it basically with all volunteers. Please get a hold of me. I have my business card up here. You can come pick one up from me after the meeting. Also, in the midst of all the uproar and brouhaha about medical marijuana, we have kind of missed out on a couple of really important things that have happened in Buchanan lately. Number one, some young ladies have opened up a new spa. It's called the Autumn Moon Hollow Day Spa. It's right downtown. I went there, and it's a beautiful place. You might want to go check that out. And also, kind of lost in the crossfire of all of this, if you didn't know, Lehman's Orchard has opened up an orchard store across the way. They sell a variety of jams, jellies, snacks, all sorts of things you can imagine. And it's locally grown and sourced here right in Buchanan by a local person who has his orchard out on, is that Portage? On Portage. So please check out both of those new places. Those are, those people are small business people, and they need our support. On Saturday night, I was invited to the fire department's annual awards banquet, and I'm just so proud of our fire department. That is such an outstanding group of men and their families. Their families, they give up a lot because you never know when your pager's going to go off. And in addition to potentially risking their lives on calls, they're also really community minded. I don't know anybody that hasn't been to the Pizza Hut event in the spring or the fall, whenever they have that, and they watch them use the jaws of life. They come to my school, and the preschoolers and the kindergartners and the first graders, their eyes are just wide-eyed watching their local heroes. They come and they make a smoke room, and the kids get to find out what it's like to stop, drop, and roll, and they do all these really great fun things. And most of their time is spent volunteering in our community, so it was an honor for me to attend their awards banquet. And with that, if no one else has anything for the good of the cause this evening, I'd like to go ahead and adjourn this meeting. Can I get a motion to adjourn, please?
Also move.
Second.
Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
We got checks to sign.
What?
Checks.
Checks.